Formex is a small independent brand in Switzerland. They've been around since 1999. They just recently contacted me and said, look Pete, do you want to have a look at this brand? Let us know what you think. I said, you know what? Send me down a watch, let's have a look. They sent me 3. I struggle. I'm going to struggle here because I physically don't have the time to review 3 watches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 2 aside. I'm going to concentrate on one. I'll show video footage of the other 2 for quality comparison's sake to see how good the brand is, but I'll mainly concentrate on this one watch. Let's check it out. Welcome back guys. First and foremost, I hate that I like this watch. The reason I say that is because the watch is really nicely made, beautifully finished, it's excellent on the wrist, and I hate that I like it because I don't need any other watches in my collection. I just bought a couple more here and there, and gee, it's so tempting to buy this because it's so well finished, super comfortable. It's been, look, I've been wearing it on this. I've been wearing it on the bracelet all week, and I wanted to check out the brand myself because of the tech, because of the technology that goes behind this stuff. And if you have a look at some of the tech, things like an on-the-fly adjustment. So basically, you know, things like this, I thought, okay, look, let's see how they work. Are they practical in the real world? And you know what? That's been fantastic. That's been fantastic throughout the day. If the wrist expands, that 4 or 5 millimeters has been an absolute joy on the fly to be able to do that on a butterfly clasp. See, when it comes to butterfly clasps, I'm not a real big fan. Look, they're comfortable, they're great, their profile is wonderful, but I struggle to find the right sort of level of adjustment for me. So if it's either too loose or either too tight, this happens to be just nice, but at the end of the day, when my wrist expands, it gives you that little bit of leeway. So that's been a good experience. But the problem is, I've been wearing this all week on this bracelet. And I thought to myself, you know what, let me throw it on this rubber strap at the last day just for the sake of actually being honest with a review. And I put it on this strap and I thought to myself, you idiot, you fool, I should have put it on this strap straight away. This has been great. This is just one level up. It really is. The way that this thing sits on the wrist, the adjustment that they have on this particular clasp as well, it's taken this watch to a whole new comfort level and a whole new different look. And that's been a delight and a surprise. Now, I did mention that I wanted to try the tech on this particular watch, you know, the technology from that suspension system on the case. You know, does it work? Is it real? Because I've seen some reviews, and I've got to tell you guys, the watch does indeed give a little bit of leeway. So when you're slightly bending that wrist or trying to grab something, it gives. It's just enough to flex so that the watch doesn't feel overly tight. And that's pretty impressive. I didn't think that was going to work, but it actually works. It's a two-way thing. It works for suspension, like for give leeway, as well as protecting against shock. So very ingenious. Didn't think I was going to like that, but it actually works. Now, getting back to that rubber strap, this is one of the nicest or smartest deploying clasps I've seen. It's not without its flaws, but it's ingenious what they've done in here by having a little button, allowing you to actually get adjustability on the fly. Again, ingenious. It's not without its flaws. You know, things like when you close it, you can see there's quite a bit of gap underneath the wrist with his tongue and with, you know, the way this actually sits high, so that could grab potentially somewhere. But the comfort factor is exceptional. It really is well thought out, well done. Before we move on, let me get onto the specs of the watch, because the way this sits on the wrist, its dimensions, it really just works. You've got a case diameter of 39 millimeters exactly. I measured the lug to lug of 45.5. The case height is 10.2 mil and a lug width of 20. Now, that crown is a 5.9 millimeter push-pull crown. It features 100 meters of water resistance, and the total weight of the watch comes in at 129 grams on that bracelet, sized to my 18 centimeter wrist, and 85 grams on this rubber strap. And the comfort factor has been ideal all week. In that size of 39 mil, it actually looks a little bit smaller on the wrist. It sort of wears like a 38. Just the way it's designed, the way that bezel and structure and so forth, it does look smaller and wear smaller on the wrist. Now, that height 10.2 or 10.3 mil. That is really nice and comfortable for a watch of this caliber. Really well finished, really well designed, albeit there is a little bit of thickness in that tongue, but apart from that, the comfort has been an absolute delight. Now the movement of the watch is a Sellita SW200. It's chronometer spec, it's COSC certified, it comes with all its certification. Formex has gone the extra level. They've basically provided an extremely well finished watch. The case finishing, the fine brushing, the very fine beveled edges of high polish, it's executed beautifully. For me, I see this watch as somebody who's in the market for a luxury watch, a sports watch, a nice high quality Swiss watch. This can compete with some of the big boys. That's pretty impressive at that price point. Now I've had this watch inside and outside, and the sapphire crystal is doing a great job as far as keeping the legibility clean and clear. What's impressed me is the quality of the CNC stripes on that dial. Whether I've looked at the white dial or this View May one, it's really well executed. The quality is just on a really high level. I like the applied logo. I like the layout, the simplicity, the date at the 6 o'clock. Everything works. It just works. There's a good balance on this watch, and it was easy to bond with. If I get back to that bracelet, you can see that the finishing is good. The articulation, very nice. It drapes over the wrist really nicely. You've got quick release solid end links, screw pins. As I said, you've got twin triggers with that deployant clasp, friction fit. Really well executed piece. And having that adjustability on the fly is just a bonus. Now looking at the lume of the watch features Swiss Superluminova BGW9, evenly applied. For a sports watch, it's doing a really good job, and it's extremely long lasting, which was impressive. Now all watches do come with positives and negatives, and looking at all of these three watches, I can tell you what, the finishing, the quality, the attention to detail, I'm struggling to find faults in them. They're really well executed. Coming out of Switzerland, I think there's been a lot of consideration to attention to detail and finishing, producing a final product that not only looks good, but actually works, and it works really well. Some of these patented ideas, the case suspension system is ingenious. You either love it or don't, but I'll tell you what, it actually does work. I didn't expect it to work. I thought, yeah, maybe a gimmick. It does work. So that's been a real plus. The comfort has been good. The fact that these feature COSC certified movements, again, a big plus. Not really much to fault. But if I had to be nitpicky about negatives, I'd probably be picking on that deployant clasp. It's beautiful, but the fact that it sits a little bit high, there's a little bit too much thickness in there. Not a deal breaker, but something that could have been rectified, or something for them to look into. Also, possibly the price. I could be nitpicking and say, look, it is a little bit expensive, but is it expensive for what you're getting? For a COSC certified movement coming out of Switzerland, really great finishing, really executed beautifully. It's been a pleasure all week. It fits well, it wears well. I'm really just complaining here because the positives seriously outweigh all the negatives. You've got superb tolerances on this watch, from the suspension system, the clasp, be it the rubber or the bracelet, the COSC certified movement. The accuracy has been really great all week, and even looking at all three models together, I've struggled to find any faults in the execution on an engineering standpoint. They're really well made. They're really well made watches. So I'm glad I got a chance to look at not only the Essence 39, which for me it's a personal favorite as a size. I think the white one just that little bit too big for a sports style watch. I tend to gravitate for something under 40 mil, which is ideal. But that diver itself is finished beautifully. I think the brand itself is doing really well. I think the brand in its identity and in its execution of providing really good products, well, I've got three good watches here in my hands. Really can't complain. Let me know your thoughts, guys, what you think of Formex. I've enjoyed this all week. It's been a pleasure. It's been a joy and a surprising experience with those features that actually work, and they work really well. Hit me up in the comments of what you think of this brand, if you've had experience or if you've got the watches themselves. For me, I like what I'm seeing. There's really not much to fault for the quality that's coming out of this company. Thanks again. We'll see you all in the next video.